This is fun. Okay, let's try with this new setup. Okay, so we've already done the first fitting for the costume, and right now what we're going to make is we're going to make a matching face mask for her. Okay, so I already have my face mask pattern over here. All right, so okay, let me just show you so you can see. So this face mask pattern over here we've used so many times, so I'm just going to add this in the link so that you can download it yourself as well. But this face mask pattern is really easy. All you need to do is to just follow the pattern and then just cut your allowances, and then that's it. But we're going to alter it a little bit because, you know, we want to make some patterns out of it, and yeah, I mean, just to create like different looks. So we're going to use two different fabrics. So we're going to use this bronze metallic fabric, and then we are also going to use the maroon spandex. We are going to add a lining, and the lining is going to be really simple and black. And then yeah, that's it. So let's just go ahead to alter this pattern, because I kind of want to make it such that it is bronze, maroon, and then bronze again. So that's kind of how I'm thinking to make the mask. Okay, let's go ahead to do this. Alright, glorious people. Alright, so I'm just grabbing a marker, and I'm just using a plain piece of A4 paper just because I wanted it a little bit stiffer. So anyway, I'm just going to use a marker, and I'm going to trace out exactly the pattern that I did before. Now when it comes to any patterns, if you want to edit them, that's completely up to you. Should have used the straight edge of the paper, but anyway, I don't know why I didn't do that. Okay, so this is the pattern going on here. Then what I'm going to do is I kind of want to make it such that the center area is in maroon, and the back area over here, this is going to be in the bronze fabric, because I think it will look nice. So yeah, so I'm just going to, let's see if the small side has any ink, a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to mark out like 1 inch on each side, because I think that's all I want the fabric to be. So I'm just marking out where this one, let me see, this is 3 inches. I'm only going to have 1 inch over here. I think that's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to mark out where my 1 inch markers are. So I'm just moving along the contours, and then later we'll just join the lines together. Okay, so same thing for the bottom. So I'm just marking out the 1 inch points. Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of freehand this and join the lines. Okay, again, it's completely up to you how you want to draw the pattern, so feel free, go ahead, go crazy. Okay, I'm quite happy with this, so I'm just going to mark out with the other marker. Feel free to use a ruler if you need to, but I'm not going to, because if you've been here long enough, you know me. I love to freehand. Okay, so very simply, this is how it's gonna look. Okay, I'm gonna use a different color marker. Okay, so this is going to be the bronze. Oh my goodness, this marker. Okay, this is going to be the bronze area, and this is going to be the maroon area. All right, so what you want to do is you want to write down all of your seam allowances. So we are going to go 0.5 inches seam allowance all around. There is no ink in this. Let me throw this away. Some of these markers have been with me since like secondary school days. Alright, so 0.5 inch allowance all around, just so that you don't confuse yourself. Okay, so once you're done with this, get your paper pattern scissors, and you're just going to cut all of these out. Alright, so you're still going to make use of this other pattern that you have, the original pattern over here. So you're going to use this for the lining. Okay, for the lining. So I'll tell you exactly how to cut it. Alright, let's go ahead to cut this out. So, oh, before I do that, I forgot to write. So let's just write the bronze top and the bronze bottom, so you know exactly, okay, what to cut. So just go ahead. Oops. Okay. Okay, so now you have 3 pieces over here, and then you also have your original paper pattern. Okay, so now let's go ahead to cut the fabrics. Okay, so I've decided to use this fabric over here as my lining fabric. So you can see that this is not the stretch mesh that we usually use for our like dance wear and stuff like that. You know, it's a slightly different kind of mesh. You know, it's a two-way stretch mesh, but a lot of times we use this stretch fabric as lining. So I'm gonna use black as the lining because I don't want it too thick, because you need to remember that she's gonna dance in it. You still want to make sure that it's breathable. Okay, so what you want to do, you can go ahead to use the rotary cutter if you prefer, but I'm not a big fan of rotary cutters, so I'm just gonna leave this as it is, and let me cut the maroon one first. Okay, so again, I'm gonna make sure that the stretch of the fabric goes this way as much as possible. Okay, because although this maroon one is a two-way stretch fabric, there's still one side that has a little bit more stretch, so I'm just gonna make sure that I have that going on. So I'm just gonna fold the fabric. Okay, so again, this side is where the stretch of the fabric, the grain line, goes. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this. Okay, probably gonna pop some pins in. I usually pop pins in when it's like a smaller area kind of thing, cause I don't want it to move. So this is how you can make all sorts of patterned, you know, masks, if you will. So I'm gonna leave my 1/2 inch allowances. Go ahead to use chalk if you need to, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna cut. Okay, if you're not sure about seam allowances, how to cut and stuff like that, go ahead to check out other courses. Okay, I promise you it will be very helpful. Very, very helpful. Okay, the reason why we're using maroon and bronze is because I want to match the costume as much as possible. So I still want it to look like it's still a performance piece. So I don't want it to look like it's too out of place, if that makes sense. Okay. Let's take this baby out. Alright, we're gonna cut 2 of those small pieces. Again, checking the stretch of the fabric. Okay, this side has more stretch, so I want to make sure that for these 2 pieces, the most stretch also goes this way. Alright, so more stretch goes across this way. Okay, so if this side has more stretch, I'm putting this way. Oopsie. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this into 2 over here, like that. I'm making sure that I stay away from this side here, yeah, because that's not what we want. I'm making sure there's enough space. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead to pin this down. That was hard to pin. Some pins are not that good anymore, so time to throw some pins away. And do the same for this one here. Okay, micro serration scissors, and then I'm just gonna cut this baby up. Okay. Okay, now that you've got these 2, we're going to set that aside. Okay. Away. Alright, now to the lining piece. You're going to cut 2 pieces as well. Very simple. Nothing much to it really. Small little piece here. Okay, it's gotta be enough. Checking the stretch first. So I'm stretching this way, stretching this way. Very obviously I have stretch here, no give here, so I'm gonna go across this way, folding it into 2. See if that's enough. Yeah. Okay, so what I want to tell you for the inner lining is that you want to not leave too much of an allowance. So you see how for all the other pieces we left a 1/2 inch allowance all around. So for this particular lining, okay, you don't want to leave 1/2 inch allowance. In fact, just a very, very minimal one would do, or you know, some people don't even want to leave an allowance, so that's perfectly fine too. So it's just completely up to you how you want to do it. But for me, I'm just gonna leave like a really, really small allowance. In fact, I'm not even going to do much, because the reason why is because the second layer, usually you want it to be really tight. You don't want it to be like too, what do you call that, like like it'll start to bulge inside if it's too big, if you get what I mean, you know. So yeah, that's a trick for you if you have not made a mask before. It's like a holy grail tip, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's go ahead to cut this one out. Okay. Okay. Alright. So I've got this done. You can see my allowance is very, very little. Very, very little allowance. So I'm happy with that. And now let's line our pieces together. So what you're going to do later is you're going to sew a straight line over here, but we're going to put these pieces together first. So this is the bottom. Glad I wrote that. This is the top. Glad I wrote that. And now we're just going to piece all of them together first. So poke that in, poke that in. So the reason why the mask, I want to make it a little bit bigger is because right now the regulations are that the mask must actually cover part of your chin. So I don't want to make it too small. Okay, so I'm just going to take one piece here. I am making sure that the wrong side is facing up. Ooh, so sticky. One moment. This is so sticky. Okay, there you go. Alright. So I'm making sure that the wrong sides are here. Okay. Oh, so sticky. It's very sticky. It is extremely, extremely sticky. Why are you so sticky? There you go. Okay. Oh, I cut a little bit there. Okay. So this is the right side up. This is how it's going to look like. This is the wrong sides together. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to pin both sides this way. Okay, let's do this side up. Okay, and then you want to pin this side to this side. That's why leaving your pattern there is really, really important, so you know. Okay, so later you're going to sew this side to this side and this edge to this edge. Okay, so you're going to have nice sides together. So for this one, we're just going to flip it other way, flip it the other way, flip it the other way, so you don't ever get confused. And then from here, you're the same thing. You're going to pin right sides together. So now all the wrong sides are up. So you're going to pin right sides together. Okay, I'm going to pin right sides together. Nice. And then we're going to go ahead to sew a straight line. All right, let's go over to the sewing machine. Okay, so since we have already pinned these sides, so we're just gonna do a straight line very simply, matching this all the way down to here. So I've changed the thread over to a brown thread to match the bronze fabric. So yeah, you can go ahead to leave the pin there if you want, but I kind of want to do this and maneuver in this way just to make sure I get a good and even coverage. Okay, coverage. I meant over the maroon piece. So again, I'm using the side here as my seam allowance gauge. So I've put my needle in because I don't have a needle pinned in there. Okay, then just go ahead to go straight and backstitch. Alright, looks very nice. So now, because you see how the curves are going these two sides, so you kind of just want to take your time and just match as closely as you can. Okay, just remember that this particular fabric is very stretchy and slippery, so if you don't want to be stretching the bottom layer too much, in fact I'll be stretching a little bit of the bronze fabric because I know how it is. I'm not stretching a lot, I'm just stretching for it to match equally and evenly, nicely. So, yep. By the way, you can go ahead to pin if you want to, but I did not, so I'm going to cut this too. Put into my dustbin. Gonna go over to the other side, so same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna start from this side first. So again, matching over here. Okay, go ahead to pop a pin if you want to. Alright, for this one I'll pop a pin. And the reason why I don't really want to pop so many pins is because number one, I'm not really a pin person. That's not true, okay? I mean, just because I'm more used to this fabric. But number two is because you see this metallic fabric, if you poke a lot of pins, yeah, you can see like little marks over here. Can you see this mark? Yeah, so I want to avoid that. It will go away after a while, but you know, just want to avoid that. Have I backstitched? Yeah, I think I did. Okay, so again, I'm trying to match this. This one seems a little bit longer, but that's okay. Alright. And you're gonna do the same for the other side. Okay, so once you're done with the other side, so this is the lining. Okay, for this particular lining, I'm not going to actually change the thread color because I don't think it's going to be very obvious since this is a lining. So, okay, it's starting to get stuck in here. I don't know if you can see that. Let me try zooming in. This is a good one. Can you see? It has started to pucker up over here. Right, so what I'm doing is I'm holding onto the tail, and you realize along the course, you know, when there are things that happens like that, I would just stop and go through with you what to do so that you know what to do exactly yourself. Okay, so the one way I've decided that this we can get out of a situation like that when the fabric starts to sink in or starts to crumple is you need to make sure that you have a long enough tail. Long tail is something that I always say, like, it's super important. So always leave a tail, and what you're gonna do is one hand, your right hand, is going to hold on to the fabric because you see this is starting to fold in as well. That's not what we want. You want to make sure that you really flatten the fabric. You see how this fabric flattens? See, it's off the machine now. So I want to flatten this as much as I can, and this one I'm going to tuck it lightly at the back. Sometimes it's really hard, but you know, just depends. So I know this one's still moving, so I'm just going to kind of like tug it slightly at the back. See how it's moving? See how it's gliding back over? So this motion, this tugging motion, is actually helping the fabric to glide through better. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom back out. Okay, now I'm just gonna continue to rest. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna backstitch. Now when you're backstitching for this particular fabric, don't go all the way to the end because it's gonna get stuck inside again. So always make sure to leave a little bit of an edge before you backstitch and just come straight all the way through. Alright, so I'm done with the fabric. Just gonna make sure my needle's at the highest position. Pull it up. And I'm gonna snip it off. Now you can see the front area here. Can you see that? Let me zoom in. You can see it got a little bit stuck over here, but I'm not too worried about that. It still looks okay. So I'm just going to snip this off. Okay. So now let's piece it all together. Okay, now you're done with all the pieces. So what you're gonna do is you want to cut your little notches. Okay, let's start with the lining first. So for the lining, you've actually done this straight line down here this way. So what you're gonna do is you are going to trim this as close to the edge as possible, but just don't trim the thread, okay? So the reason why is because when you do this, the curves are going to be a lot nicer. So you want to make sure that it really sits with as little fabric as possible there. Okay, alright, so for these areas over here, so this is where the mask is. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to cut notches because it's a curve, so we want to make sure that it really curves. Okay, this fabric, the metallic fabric, is a lot stiffer, so let's cut facing this side up, the softer fabric up, so you can see, you know, when it starts to curl and stuff like that. So you know that you have all of these under control. So the thing about working with stretch fabrics is sometimes you really want to make sure that you are able to catch them at the right places so that they do not control you. Because stretch fabrics can be so hard to sew. I didn't match this here properly, but okay, I'm just gonna leave it. Not gonna move it. I'm gonna do the same for this side too. Oops. Where was I? Okay, so once we're done cutting all of the notches, then we're going to start piecing them together. If you're ever not sure, feel free to replay or slow down the video, okay, so that you can see how that looks. Okay, just gonna pull you back slightly. Alright, so now that you have this over here, I'm just gonna cut this away. Okay, now that you have this piece here, this piece over here, okay, what you're gonna do is you are going to match them up, right sides together. Okay, so you've got your right sides together this way, and you're going to sew a straight line. Okay, but before you do that, you want to make sure that you really pin. So how you want to pin this, okay, you see one edge here to one edge here, so just make sure that they really align with one another. Okay, you can flip one up, one down, so that you get a very nice and clean edge. Okay, I'm going to flip it the other way. You know what, doesn't matter. Just gonna pin it down. Okay, feel free to use more pins if you want, but the main thing is to pin these two sides first. Same thing, one up, one down. Okay, one up, one down, meaning one the side facing towards you go this side and the other side go the other side, so it can lay as flat as possible, and that's what we want. Okay, so then you're just going to sew a straight line across here and make it beautiful. Alright, so now that we've pinned all of that, let's sew a straight line. Again, using the edge of the foot. Oops, fabric stuck inside. It's too ambitious. Okay, I'm gonna try this pulling method first. Okay, let's see. If you zoom in, you can see this. The fabric got stuck inside. Lift the needle so you can see. I mean, lift the footer. Can you see that? The fabric got stuck. So, alright, worked. See? It started to move. Alright, so this method definitely works. Okay, it's my holy grail method that I'm passing on to you. Okay, so going on to this, alright, so if you're not using a lot of pins, sometimes just make sure the needle is down, lift the footer, make sure it sits under the foot. Okay, you see how this is bulging again? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the foot, place it back in. You can use a needle if you want to, I'm just using my fingers, and then I'll let it go in again. Closing to the needle, removing this. Let me zoom out slightly, and then I'm just going. This part's simple. You just want to go straight all the way through. Okay, so coming back to here, just want to make sure that the bottom is all flipped in the right direction. And the top part is facing that side. So again, the reason why you want to put this here is so that you can actually see and control this, because imagine if it's at the bottom, you can't quite handle it. Okay, once I know that he has taken this part in, I'm gonna remove the needle. And then I'm just gonna continue down. Alright, I've learned not going too close. Okay, very beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so what you want to do now, same thing, you're gonna trim. Yeah, let's trim. I don't like it when it's too thick right in the center. So again, this is the center line we've just sewn here. We're not trimming all the other parts, not yet, at least. Okay, so I'm using the micro serration scissors. If you're not sure what that is, you can Google, or you can go ahead to check our other course, because we talk about all the different accessories that we use to sew stretch fabrics. Alright, nice. So, right, let me move that. Okay, so now you have very nicely cut this out. Let me show you how the front looks like. Oh, very beautiful. So when it comes out this way, this is how it's gonna look. Okay, I'm not worried so much about the shape because it's gonna lay flat against her anyway, so I think that's okay. But now we're going to match this together with our lining piece. So what you're going to do is you're going to do, okay, I'm going to open this flat first. Okay, let me, yeah, that's much better. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to open this flat first. Okay, before you do that, always make sure that you have the same sides together. So the top side is a little bit more curved, okay, than the bottom side. The bottom side is a little bit more flat. So just make sure that you have that correct. Okay, so now that you have it correct, okay, you're just going to open it, okay, to the right side facing up. Same thing for this, right side facing up. So wrong side is towards you now. So you're gonna pin center to center. Grab a pin and make sure that that's aimed correctly. Okay, I'm just gonna pin that in. And you're going to make sure that over here, this matches too. Oh, the metallic fabric. And then this here matches too. Okay, trust me, I know it looks like a lot, but when we flip it over, you'll see. Alright, so now I'm just going to do a straight stitch all around, 0.5 inch allowance. Beauty. Beautiful. Alright, so now you're going to do the same thing for the bottom side. So you're gonna flip it. And you're going to match the middle together. Center to center. And then you're going to match this side to this side. Oh, cut this thread before. Okay, you're gonna match this side to this side. And then you are going to sew a straight line. Okay, always make sure to match the center. Okay, very nice. So now that we have this, I'm going to show you what to do. You are going to have to cut notches again, and this time around you want to cut it a little bit more, if I could say that. So you definitely want to not cut more, but I mean the distance between the notches could go a little bit more, because I think it looks nicer. Okay, some people do the method like what we did just now earlier, where we just trim it, but we're gonna do a top stitch later. So with the top stitch, yeah, it's going to, oops, almost cut the thread there. The top stitch is going to look a lot cleaner, it's going to be a lot stronger, so you don't have to worry too much about that. I quite like the edge to have a little bit of a bulk. Okay, so this is what we have here. Oh my, what does this look like? Okay, so you're just going to flip it inside out. So you're going to go to one side of the hole, and you're just going to flip this baby and just smack it around. Nice. So this is what you got. Very, very beautiful. Very nice. Oh my god, look at that. I really, really like this. Okay, so we're not done with it yet. We are going to do our top stitch. Before later, we will close this up, adding elastic, and we're just going to loop this once. We're going to loop this twice, so it looks really nice and clean. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do our top stitch. So again, you can go ahead to pin if you want, but because it's a metallic fabric, I want to not do that as much as I can. So I'm just gonna do the center. So okay, you see when I pin, or rather when I do the top stitch, I don't want the black to be showing from the front. Okay, so meaning you don't want to fold it just directly here this way, so you can still see a little bit of the black. So I kind of push the metallic bronze fabric a little bit upwards, which is why I say when you're cutting the lining fabric, it's okay if you cut it a little bit smaller, because all these will make up for it. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop one pin right in the center here, because this is my most important marker. It's gonna make sure that the black is not seen when we do the top stitch. I'm gonna do the same thing for the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna pop another pin right there. So you see I'm popping in the thread where the threads are, so I don't create extra unnecessary holes. Okay, so then I'm just gonna do my top stitch. So go ahead to pop some more pins if you want to, but I'm just gonna you see how I'm holding it? I'm just kind of holding it like that while I'm doing the top stitch. The only thing I'm considering now is, okay, I think I'm going to want to do the zigzag stitch. I haven't really thought about that. Do I want to do the zigzag stitch, or do I want to do a straight stitch? Okay, I'm going to do a straight stitch, but for the what I'm going to change. I'm going to change the lengths over to 3/2. You know, I think that would look nice. I'm going to shift the needle position over to the right, and then for the tension, I'm going to reduce it to 2/2. Okay, this one's very important. Okay, so let's top stitch this baby down. Okay, you want the tension to be lowered so it looks nicer, not so tight. Okay, so you see how I'm holding it? I'm holding this a little bit outwards. Okay. Alright, so again I'm going to use the edge of the footer because I think that's always the easiest. So you see how I'm just pushing it flat here because it's not going to move, you know, when I push it down, because I know how stiff the metallic fabric is. I wouldn't do that if it's just spandex, okay? But because I know how stiff the metallic fabric is, so you see how I'm just pushing this downwards because I don't want anyone to see it. Okay, so I'm making sure that there is an overlap going on over here. Very nice. And just gonna go ahead to remember to do my back stitch too. Okay, so as I'm going along, I'm just kind of pulling, just checking. Oh, looks good. Okay, my center pin there, so I know that is my center mark. Okay, so I'm making sure there is an allowance. Let me zoom in so you can see a little bit better. See, this is over the black. Okay, going to do the same thing all the way to the end. So I like to do it at the end and then kind of push it and pop it into place right here in the center because I really don't want to see the black. Okay. Honestly, the back stitch at the end, even if you don't do it very well, doesn't really matter lah. Okay, I say it doesn't really matter, not that you can screw it up, but like it really doesn't matter because we are going to do a fold over later to make it look even more pristine. Okay, now I'm going to do the same for this side over here. Okay. Right, gonna do the same thing on this side. Okay, just not quite happy with how this is looking. Alright. Top here is a little bit more curved, so take your time. Popping my pin out. Okay. Back stitching. Alright, let's see what we've made. Nice, nice, nice. So, we have created a very beautiful spandex mask. Okay, now the reason why I've made it a little bit bigger, okay, I tell you why. Because the current rules for COVID is that the mask has to cover your chin as well. So if the mask just covers like up to your chin here. It needs to go over. So I want it to be a little bit bigger because that's just the current rule. Anyway, this goes up slightly higher where the nose is, but still comfortable. Okay, so okay. Anyway, I thought I would just pop that in, because this is gonna be a gorgeous mask. Okay, and then the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab the elastic and we're gonna top stitch once and twice and pop the elastic in. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So let me go grab the elastic. I don't even know why I brought the entire thing, but okay. That's got the whole thing. Should put it on a spool. Okay, so for the elastic, okay, how I'm going to measure it, because it's a very so this particular elastic is the mask elastic, so it's super stretchy. So, and this mask is supposed to go from just before the ear to before the ear. So I'm not going to give a very long elastic just because you see how stretchy this is. Okay, so how you want to do this is you want to measure once. Okay, so I'm measuring, maybe I have to flip it the other side so you can see better. I'm going to measure once this way. Okay, going to leave a little bit of allowance. Alright, see my allowance is here. And I'm going to do ×2 of this. Okay, and I'm just gonna cut, and then I'm gonna cut 2 of that. Okay, just gonna cut 2 of these, not stretching it. Oops. Alright, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna tie a knot, and this is what I'm gonna do on both sides. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Dum bum bum bum. Okay, tie a little knot. I'm gonna push it all the way to the edge. Oops. Okay. Going to pull it, making sure that it's nice and soft. I'm gonna hide this in the middle of the mask. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and then I'm gonna trim the excess here away. Oops. Do the same for the other side. I'm pretty sure there are better techniques to tie a knot. I don't know, I've just been doing this for a long time. Okay, so this is my knot. Okay, so I don't want to cut all the way to the edge just in case it pops. So what we're going to do is we're gonna pop this baby here inside this way. So the knotted part is towards the lining here. Okay, knotted part towards the line because we want to hide it. And then you're gonna fold once. Okay, and you're gonna fold one more time. Okay, can you see that? So I'll show you that again. Okay, so you're gonna fold once, alright, and then you're gonna fold one more time, and the second time you want to make sure that you go over that. Alright, if you want to be more specific, go ahead to use the use a, what do you call that? Now I suddenly forget. Go ahead to use a measuring tape for that, okay? But I'm gonna use the guidelines on the machine to do it, because that's how I usually do it to make it faster, you know? Okay, let me just readjust everything. Okay. So how I measure is I usually measure the width of the footer here, like basically the width of the foot here. Okay, that's just how I like to do it. You don't have to do it if you want to, but anyway, this is how it looks like folded inside. It is hidden, no one sees it. Okay, so settings. Okay, for this you're going to push your needle position over to the left hand side. Okay, all right, let us do this. So again, I am lining the edge of the fabric here. Okay, so the needle position is here. It's gonna go inside this way, and I know it's really thick, but we are gonna hide this baby very, very nicely and adjust it along the way. Okay, I am gonna stretch it slightly while sewing, just because you can see if it doesn't stretch. Okay, let me zoom in. If you don't stretch it, you see how curved it's gonna be. So I am going to stretch it slightly. Okay, so I'm also aiming for this to be here. Okay, go ahead to pin this if you need to, but okay, I'm not going to. I'm gonna pop my needle in first. Now this is thick, okay? This is really thick. So put your needle in first. Make sure you have a good tail just in case. Okay, in fact, I'm gonna pull the tail a little bit just to help it. Help the machine. Okay, gonna do my back stitch. Dun dun dun. Good. And I'm gonna let it feed. Okay, when you're coming over to this area here, I want you to be really careful about it. Okay, so just make sure to lift up your foot, adjust if you need to, pull the tail if you need to. You see how the maroon fabric's just getting everywhere. That's okay. Okay, we're gonna make sure that this matches here as much as possible. Okay, so you see how it's crumpling again, so I am going to want to yank and not yank, but kind of like pull it flat. Okay, readjusting, making sure it's all nice and flat. Okay. Making sure that's very tight because it's for dance. It's for lancing, dancing. So, oops. We cut it clean. Okay, I'll cut it clean later. But this is how it looks. There you go. It's nice. Okay, you're gonna do the same for the other side. Okay, so this is how it looks at the back. So you're gonna do the same for the other side. Alright, do the same and I'll come back. Wanted to say I forgot to sew my logo, so if you're doing it for your business, don't forget to sew your logo. Oh, it's kind of big. Okay, I'm gonna trim it a little bit. So in our online sewing course, we have some who want to do it for leisure, some people want to do it for business, so I'm making sure that this top, yep. So it's really completely up to you if you want to do this for business or for leisure, but definitely happy to guide you. So I'm just going to sew a straight line for a logo because that's so important. So important. Okay. So yeah, if you have any questions, drop it down below. Yeah, so if you have any questions, drop it down below. If you're not sure about anything that we've just it. Okay, we do have a sewing community, so go ahead, join our sewing community. Okay, if you are on our website, you'll definitely see our sewing community and all of the courses that we have as well. Alright, so this is our mask. Let me zoom out. So this is our mask. Okay, it looks flimsy because it's spandex, but anyway, when it's all stretched out, it looks very, very clean and nice. Great for performance. There you go. Okay. So I hope that you've enjoyed learning how to make this face mask over here, whether it's for yourself, for your friends, for your family. And if you've enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe down below because it means so much to us as a small business. Thank you so much for spending time here. Until next week, I'll see you very soon. Take care, stay safe, and ta-ta! Go follow us on Instagram and on Facebook, please!